Welcome to the Moving Pictures Studio. We're here with Alison Ellwood. Tell me, this film about Ken Kesey and his trip across the country, what made you guys think that this would be a good protagonist to share with, America, especially when this footage has been around for 30 years? Why you guys are first to pick up on it and actually show it in this way?
Well, Ken and the Pranksters have made films out of this material. It's not like it's been boxed away forever.
Yeah.
They made films for themselves, and from when I looked at them, I felt like you needed to be really inside and understand what they went through to understand what they were trying to say in their films. So we looked at it from a totally fresh approach, I think, and we obviously were not on the bus with them. We didn't even know them. And it was, when both Alex and I looked at the material, it sort of spoke to us. It felt very immersive. It felt like you were there. And we wanted to maintain that quality of that emotion that you get by watching the footage in the film, and hopefully we did.
Yeah, and it's such an untraditional format for you guys to show the film in this way. I mean, Alex is stepping off, Client 9, which is like such a traditional interview people, have a few reenactments, cut it all together, and it's such an untraditional approach that you guys took. Were you, how much discussion went into that whole creative process?
Well, initially we were thinking we would do interviews with people, and there's quite a few of the pranksters still alive and around and vital, and we were thinking we would do that, and we came up with a whole style approach to how to do that. And then we started working with the material. The restoration took a long time, so as the material was coming in, we discovered these these interviews that were audio only, that had been done by someone with the Pranksters about 10 years after the trip. And so I started working with that as basically a template, almost like a placeholder for what we would do ultimately with a real interview. And then we decided, no, this is the way to do it. It keeps it immersive. We don't want to see people older reflecting back. We want to be in that moment at that time. And so it was an instant decision, and we never looked back.
Over the past few years here in the US, politically, it seems as polemical a time as ever, and the red state, blue state stuff that was going on, especially during George W.'s tenure as president, was seen as being, one of the most divisive times in US political history. But when we look back at this time, it was perhaps even greater. There was more at stake with the civil rights movement going on contemporaneously.
Yes.
How do you manage to marry the kind of context of the world when, with this immersive experience?
You meaning now versus...
No, in the film.
At the time?
Yeah.
The Pranksters were not political. Yeah. That's when they do the scene where, a vote for Barry is a vote for fun, and most of the Pranksters were, what is that about? They didn't want to be political. They were about having fun. They were about light and love and joy, and trying to find something other than this darkness that was the bomb and that whole era that they were reacting against, and they, were kind of dismissive of it in a way.
But they were drawn into the political spectrum with, Ronald Reagan obviously commenting on the LSD phenomenon and trying to get people to wise up. So they, by virtue of the fact that they were promoting a different way of life, were drawn into the political spectrum.
Sure. And, but they basically kind of ignored that too. They just kept on doing their thing. And, it was because of what, the acid tests and the explosion that came from that because when they were doing acid, it was illegal. I mean, it was being given to them by the CIA, So I think it was these two cultures that just collided in the late 60s.